This is one of the biggest scandals since the Liberal sponsorship scandal in the 1990s.
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David, and today's top stories, we've got the Eco Green Slush Fund. This thing just keeps cracking wide open here. We've got a couple different clips to show on the Eco Green Slush Fund. There's a lot of money, our tax dollars being funneled off to these dirty liberals and their connected corporate friends. Let's jump into this. So first off, with the Eco Green Slush Fund, we've got multiple different conservatives digging into this. I believe Rick Perkins is the kind of head investigator on this. But we've got a couple conservatives here in a podcast. We've got Jamie Shamail here, who is the representative of Kawartha Lakes, and he breaks it down a little bit here and really digs into how much money is actually being flushed out and where it's going.
We have a fund that administers about $1 billion annually.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
This has been going, this fund, the structure around it has been in place from conservative years, some liberal years as well, really invest in green technology companies.
Yep.
But something happened when the Trudeau government took power. Maybe we can talk a bit about that. What happened that took this so far off base? We got to the point where the Auditor General comes in and says, yeah, there's a lot of problems with the money going out the door.
Do you remember Jim Basile?
We do, yes. BlackBerry, right?
BlackBerry, right. So Jim Basile was the former chair of Sustainable Development Technology Canada, otherwise known as SDTC, otherwise known as the Green Slush Fund. The Liberals get elected and he starts criticizing them, and they didn't like that. So the former Minister of Industry, Navdeep Bains, decides to kick him off as chair of the SDTC board and to put on someone who's not going to criticize the Liberal government. So he does that in 2017, and there were two people that were qualified. One person opted out because they felt they had a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. The second person also had a conflict of interest, but took the job anyway, and that person's name is Annette Verschaeren.
I should note, I've got another clip coming up with Annette in it, so you can see how she is directly involved in this.
Under her watch, in the words of the CFO from the industry department, is quoted as saying that this is one of the biggest scandals since the Liberal sponsorship scandal in the 1990s. So to kind of break it all down, what happened under Annette Verschaeren's watch that we found in the Auditor General's report that came out recently is that there were $76 million of projects connected to Liberal friends that were given money. $59 million on projects that were not allowed to have been awarded any money. $12 million on projects that were both in conflict of interest and ineligible for funding. And in one instance, Annette Verschaeren even gave herself over $200,000 to one of her companies as the board chair.
That's the exact clip that we'll be looking at soon.
This is Liberal insider dealing. Many of the people who received money are also connected to the Liberal Party. And thanks to some whistleblowers at SDTC Canada, we were able to expose this. And the Auditor General was able to do a report. And just a few weeks ago in Parliament, we were successful in passing a very important motion that will require SDTC, the Auditor General, to give Parliament all of its documentation so we can take this matter to the RCMP.
This is so sad that at this state in our country, it's the whistleblowers that are the ones really keeping things going here and keeping things honest. These are true Canadian patriots, the people that open this stuff up and blow the whistle, essentially. There's been multiple whistleblowers, not just this one scandal, but multiple. That is the reason why we know these are going on.
Yeah, that would be nice, because I think Canadians in general are struggling, right? It doesn't matter where you go in this country, people are struggling to afford rent, mortgages, food. It doesn't matter. Meanwhile, the Liberals have really corrupted this organization that was investing in startups and green technology firms, but really did what Liberals do best, which is help out their friends and buddies, spread taxpayer dollars around.
Yeah, it's actually very clear, and it's not just us saying it. Again, it's right in the Auditor General's report. Like, let me just read something from this report. It says on page 6, we found that Sustainable Development Technology Canada did not always manage public funds in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contribution agreements for the Sustainable Development Technology Fund. The The foundation had not set clear guidance to determine whether projects met all eligibility criteria, and we found that the foundation awarded funding to projects that were ineligible. In other words, corruption, rewarding friends, not following the rule of law, a bad and horrible use of taxpayer dollars for a fund that traditionally, under both previous conservative and liberal governments, did a lot of good in our country. The Liberals screwed that up.
If the Liberals think that Canadian taxpayers are going to be doing things by the book from now on, paying taxes, the whole thing, they got nothing coming. When you set the standard at the top as being a crime boss, a scumlord, a conniving thief, what is everyone else supposed to take from that? Oh, it's okay if we just steal money. It's okay if a restaurant owner doesn't pay taxes on all the cash deals they did for, selling whatever food. The Liberals are wrecking this country in more than one way here.
Yeah, they did
It's
it in
criminal.
a way that insulates themselves, really, right? They have the appointment process, so the minister appoints Liberal-friendly members.
Yeah.
These Liberal-friendly members make Liberal-friendly decisions on where the cash goes. Yeah. And if there is any pushback, or like we find out now through the whistleblowers with this green slush fund, there's that layer of protection where you go, wow, it's the board. What do you want me to do?
There's one person, Andre Lise Methot. While she was on the board, her companies received $42.5 million.
Well, let's go through the list. Let's queue up cut one. We have Rick Perkins, our colleague on the industry committee, questioning the former Minister of Industry, Navdeep Bains, who appointed many of these people. He kind of has a laundry list of who kind of got a bit of extra money here.
Yeah, and before we go to the clip, let's just, Rick Perkins deserves some kudos here. It takes a lot of extra effort for a single member of parliament to really dig into these matters, to really find out what happened. Canada owes Rick a lot of gratitude. He's basically like an investigator on top of his regular job as an MP. This guy is doing God's work in parliament, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a fantastic individual too. Yeah. Let's play cut one.
Why are you obfuscating about a conflicted director who ended up running a corrupt board that resulted in over $76 million of taxpayer money being taken from the taxpayers and voted to their own companies?
As I've said, there was a very clear process in terms of selecting the individual. It was a very open and fair and transparent
process. It's fair if you're a Liberal. You recommended her to the Governor and Council. I would ask you, were you aware that Andre Lise Methot, who you also put on the board, voted for $42 million to her companies? Were you aware that former Liberal staffer and Trudeau organizer Steve Kukucher, you put on the board in this fair and open process, who voted his companies more than $25 million of taxpayer money? Are you aware that you appointed Guy Ouimet from Quebec, who voted for $4 million in this fair and open process for his own companies? This is your legacy as Minister of Industry, that you set up a $1 billion slush fund for the Liberal Party that people could feather bed their own investments and break the law by furthering the value of their investments in companies using taxpayer dollars. Is that what you intended to do?
As I indicated in my opening remarks, I left cabinet on January the 12th of 2021, so I'm not sure which appointments were before or after that. I would also indicate again.
Boy, it's great to have amnesia, isn't it?
The Liberals have really done.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. We really need a law in place that if people do this stuff, they get their citizenship just taken away. It doesn't matter if you're born here or not. You get your citizenship taken away, and you can pick your choice of country where you want to go to. There's multiple countries that will take people that get kicked out of their countries. I think North Korea, I've already mentioned that before. You can go to Rwanda. I think there's a few other ones that will take you. Why not put that in? Does that sound crazy? We get rid of the trash out of our country. It would set a standard that if you take from the taxpayers, you're getting kicked out of here and you don't get to come back. That would make people think twice about stealing our money. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm crazy, because I think that's a very clear idea about how to put some pressure on these thieves.
On a job here, okay? They've set up this slush fund with $1 billion that they administer, and they appointed a board to give to their people, right? But even the companies that are coming to the board, right? These directors are voting their company's money. They're not. I would question and probably challenge would the market feel the same way, right? Would the market actually invest in these companies had this fund not been available?
Well, the Auditor General actually answers that question for us and says that many of the projects were approved did not meet the criteria. They have independent experts that provide advice to the board on the companies and technologies that should be funded. And they found very clearly in many of the instances with the people listed that those projects shouldn't have received money in the first place. The Auditor General also found that the foundation, the Green Slush Fund, poorly managed all conflict of interests. Like, this is clear as day. This is a huge scandal. And we know it's a big scandal, and we know it's a criminal act because as soon as the whistleblower came out, the current Minister of Industry, Champagne, shut the fund down.
It's unbelievable. So they wouldn't have gotten money if they were on the open market, because it's a bunch of garbage businesses or corporations, whatever they're running, where they wouldn't get funding. Anyone with the right mind wouldn't invest in them. But it's okay if they just steal taxpayers' dollars. Champagne shuts down the Eco Green Slush Fund, which just screams that it's full of corruption. It's like, oh, let's just shut this down and hide this, sweep this under the rug.
But what made it even worse, so he shut it down, and now it's been dissolved subsequently. But even in the last budget, the Liberals still were trying to put over $1 billion new into the Green Slush Fund, even though the minister had suspended the board at the same time. So, like, not only is it poor management, I think the Liberals were wittingly trying to reward their friends and supporters. And that's what's so damaging about this. And which is so sad, frankly, because we want the government funds to do good for Canada in cases where we have those funds. Now people have less trust and they see more corruption. And
it's not even less trust. Like, the general public here, we have zero trust in the Liberal government. We're expecting them. We know they're taking our money and doing what's best for them with it, not what's best for us with it. They're all a bunch of lying scumbag thieves.
That's not good for anyone.
No, because we actually get slower innovation. Innovation does not move as rapidly as you would in a free market system, right, where companies and startups are challenging each other. But at the same time, if the governments that allows maybe new companies to get a better rate at a loan or maybe a grant if there are available, if those are given out inappropriately, you really are slowing down the progress that the fund is meant to achieve.
Yeah, and you're also hurting the risk takers that could really benefit from it too. So it's hurting young Canadians that are in the technology sector that want to start up because the Liberals couldn't do their job effectively. So there's consequences, and those consequences are big.
Are there consequences for Liberals? They seem to be getting away with so much lately. It's incredible how much misappropriation of funds there has been.
Well, I can't even keep track of every scandal right now. There's just so much going on, but this is a big one. And I'm really happy that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, put the motion forward to use the power of Parliament to get these documents so that we can get to the bottom of this and the RCMP can finally get to their job and start charging people for breaking the conflict of interest acts that apply to situations like this.
But, okay, you know, if this ever happened under Conservatives, the Liberals would be like throwing themselves on the floor, jumping up and down, you know, causing the world to come to stand still. But this is one of many for the Liberals. This isn't just one-off. And they don't really seem to care. You look at Justin Trudeau in Parliament, question period, he barely has any discomfort whatsoever when explaining away this.
Yeah, I think Trudeau definitely has some Teflon around him. But I think at the end of the day, Canadians are struggling so much, your constituents and mine. I was out door knocking in Nepean last night. The number one thing I heard at the doorstep was, I can't afford to live in Canada anymore. My paycheck's not going far enough. I can't afford my mortgage. When I go grocery shopping every week, I have no money left. And I just want to give my kids good meals. I can't cover my basic necessities. The country has taken such a nosedive under this Liberal government that people don't have any extra bandwidth to cover issues like this. But that's where.
And Justin Trudeau doesn't care. He's done it on purpose. He knows what he's doing. He's done everything that he can to hurt us. And if he cared, he would switch it around. It's like if you make a mistake, you're like, oh, that's actually bringing the country in the wrong way. We better do the exact opposite. He knows the immigration is the problem. Foreign workers, foreign students, all that business. But he still refuses to do anything about it. The man is just continuing to bring in voters, hoping that he can bring in more voters than there are Canadians to outvote him. I'm sure there's layers and layers to that, whether he's in bed with the bankers, getting them rich, interest rates jacked, they make more money off of mortgages, whether he and all his cronies own multiple houses, jacking immigration rates, getting stinking rich off increased housing prices, whatever it may be, whether they have interest in all the diploma mills that are making tons of money off of all these people coming from India. There's all different scams making money off of Canadians and off the people of the millions coming here from India. Trudeau and the Liberals have not only done nothing, they're the ones who are enabling these problems, which is breaking our country. He is the problem, they are the problem, and they should all be charged for their crimes against us.
Where we come in, where we got to fight.
But all this is contributing to the inflation, right? Like all this extra spending is hurting the Bank of Canada's job to get interest out of control.
Yeah.
A lot of this debt is being put on the credit card. All of this contributes, right? Like it's all one after the other.
Well, we've witnessed in my 4.5 years as a member of Parliament, and I think your 9 years as a member of Parliament, a 40% growth in the size of the public service and more money spent than all other governments in the history of Canada combined under Justin Trudeau. So Canadians should know now, if they know one thing, more money doesn't fix problems. Mm-hmm. Good governance does.
Yeah.
That's what Trudeau has done wrong. Every time they see a problem, it's like right now it's the food bank. Oh, well, you're hungry. Well, we're going to feed 400,000 kids. I'm sorry to be pessimistic about that, but a little token fund that he wants to set up, one, won't be administered well, mm-hmm. two, won't reach the broader population, and three, can't address the problem that he created in the first place.
Yes.
And the root problem is that he screwed up our economy.
Yes.
And that everything is off balance right now. And that if the government had only just stayed out of the way and stopped trying to solve every problem we have with a new government fund, a new mm-hmm. program, and just let Canadians be, we would have been better off.
Yep.
And that's why you see in United States and other countries similar to Canada, like Australia and New Zealand, like a standard of living higher than Canada's. Our standard of living hasn't dropped this quickly mm-hmm. in 40 years. And it's because the government got involved in every little thing
Absolutely.
It could.
And it's
I mean, even if you look at, say, 400,000 kids being fed, well, if you had 10 times that, that'd be 4 million. Well, we've got 41 million people. That's over 100 times. There isn't a fund big enough to deal with that. The fund is stop spending money, have the prices come down, everyone feeds themselves. But of course, that's not how Trudeau operates, right? He wants the narcissistic pat on the back that he did something. And I'm sure there's some back end deal there he's making money off personally, or his friends or whoever, his support. Anyone in the Liberal Party is getting something from everything they spend. They don't do anything for us. It's always for them.
Stifled our ability to build things here.
Yeah. So right now in America, even under a Biden presidency, government doesn't play as big of a role. Mm-hmm. But people are making more money and they have more freedom. Yep. And they're living a higher quality of life than we do. I think Ontario, the most significant most significant province in Canada in terms of economics and GDP, has a similar GDP per capita to some of the poorest states in America now. Yeah. So whereas America's standard of living is just going up, ours is going down at an alarming rate, and people are feeling it. Like we're both fathers. Where we live, our children might not be able to live because they won't be able to afford a home in those neighborhoods, and that the jobs available won't be able to give them the quality of life that we enjoy. And it's not just, it's a whole generation like that. Yeah. And that's weighing on the minds of parents across Canada. And that's what we have to do our very best to try and fix.
So how are we going to address this? I know we laid out a little bit of a plan. Well, obviously, I don't want you to give away all the secrets because we are prepping for an election whenever that does come.
Well, the first thing is to kick that traitor Justin Trudeau out of Canada, along with all the other Liberals. Just kick them all out. They don't deserve to be here for what they've done to us. That would be a good start.
The Liberals are corrupt, and the Auditor General told us so. We got to work on that, and we got to get to the bottom of how taxpayer dollars were used in a criminal manner to benefit Liberal friends. It's not acceptable in their Canada. It's not acceptable in my Canada, and we got to make sure that Parliament gets the right documents, and we can bring this forward to the RCMP.
Well, there you have it. That was quite the podcast. That really summed it up quite well. Not that we need any more reasons to not vote Liberal in the next election, but thanks. I hope this and many more shams done to the taxpayers are prosecuted and charged. If only we had a federal police. Yeah, RCMP not so useful in this situation. We got this clip here, posted by Michael Barrett. It says, at Trudeau's Green Slush Fund, Liberal insiders paid themselves millions with tax dollars. The Ethics Commissioner investigation is due this month. Canada's auditor found over $300 million paid out in 186 cases. Conflict of interest.
Ma'am, during your opening statement, you said that all companies were treated equally in their payments through your COVID scheme in 2020 and 2021, but some companies received a 5% increase in funding and others received a 10% increase in funding. So that seems to me both to be unequal, but it also demonstrates that your opening statement is factually incorrect. And this decision that was taken to increase those fundings to those companies benefited you in a very real way. And not only did you move the motion, you voted in favor of it, and all of the votes taken were unanimous. How long were these meetings? So the meeting of March 23rd, 2020, where you voted to give yourself, your company, $111,485. How long was that meeting in duration?
I don't recall, but I can find out for you.
I'm happy to jog your memory with the minutes. It was 1 hour. The meeting of Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, where you voted to your benefit $106,176. How long was that meeting, ma'am?
I don't recall, but do you have it?
I do. It was an hour. So in what amounts to a lunch break for most people, you benefited $111,485 in one occurrence, and then a year later, an equal amount of time. In another lunch break, you voted to your benefit $106,176. Is it still your contention that though some companies were given a 5% increase and others a 10% increase, that all companies were treated equally?
What happened, I think at the first round, it was 5% across the board, honorable member. And I think in the second round, the management team identified some companies that were identified in their analysis and developed these milestones that indicated that if they could be given a little more money, the 10%, that would really help accelerate and sustain those businesses. And it was done. Okay. It was work done internally, and right. So that.
This is just word salad stalling. She's always been so corrupt every single time she speaks.
But I want to clarify one thing: is that the project that Interstore was involved with, the Godrich project, got the 5%, I think, each time, and I want to make sure of that. And
that was not your but that was not your testimony, ma'am. You testified that they were all treated equally, and 5% and 10% are not equal numbers, and neither was the amount of money. Neither was the amount of money that was paid out. There are 229 companies in the SDTC portfolio, according to your testimony at the Ethics Committee. The RCGT report sampled only 22 companies and found $40 million in misappropriated funds. The whistleblower that testified identified up to $150 million in misappropriated funds. Are you confident that Canada's Auditor General will find that there were $0 in misappropriated funds at the $1 billion Green Slush Fund?
I think, the Auditor General will find that the processes and procedures and discipline that we have in investing in the clean tech sector is second to none. As a matter of fact, that due diligence done by SDTC is often used by BDC, EDC, and other organizations in Ottawa because of the level of excellent work that they do. There's 80 people that work there that really understand this area of the business, the clean tech sector, and they're experts.
I have less than a minute left, ma'am.
She's word salading. So this woman here, put this up on the screen here. This is Annette Verschuren. She's Chief Executive Officer at NR Store Inc., company that develops and manages energy storage projects. Prior to that, she's president of Home Depot Canada. So she's one of these eco-green slush fund people getting free money just shoveled right into their bank accounts.
Your answer was not that they would find $0. You testified that you followed all ethics rules, that you have been that you've been following the highest standard. Have you been cleared of having violated the Ethics Act by the nonpartisan Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner? And if so, I'd be interested to hear that. And if not, how can you be sure that you didn't break ethics laws?
If you're referring to the ethics investigation that is going on today, for me, that is underway, right? We're in the process of reviewing that.
So you can't be sure that you didn't break ethics laws?
I am sure that I didn't break ethics laws.
The commissioner remains unsure, or you would have been cleared formally, right?
But the commission, the application hasn't been received by the commissioner yet. I'm putting together the documentation.
Why is she laughing? I'm laughing because this is so stupid. She's in the hot seat. Why is she laughing?
To give that assurance and to have that discussion happen. That has not happened. No.
This is appalling. She knows she just got that money and ran away with it. $200,000+ for 2 hours of meetings. So this Eco Green Slush Fund, this is blowing up this month once this gets released. So stay tuned for that. This is going to only get bigger and bigger. They're just openly stealing now. Yeah, it's clear as daylight it is fraud for many people, but the reality is nothing will happen. Just talking and talking and talking. Yeah, we need like serious punishment, like bring in serious punishment. If you get caught stealing $100,000, then you get stuck in jail for 35 years. How about that? Makes you wonder, what are we not seeing? Yeah, this is like what's open in the public. Don't worry, Liberals are already investigating themselves. NDP supports. Let's jump over to my group now and see what memes we got. It's so badass when men stand in front of things they've destroyed. Seriously, is there a way to remove the PM NDP if they're a danger to Canadians? No. I believe the Liberals could vote him out. He can step down, or the Attorney General can take him out, but she's appointed by Trudeau and is not going to do that. So no, never give up. This has nothing to do with Canadian politics, but this is hilarious. Elizabeth May, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So if you want to check that out on my second channel, I did a video on Elizabeth May. She drops an F-bomb. She has a meltdown. She's going absolutely nuts again, and I actually show both clips of her. The second clip in that video, she has a little too much to drink just before she's doing speech. All I'm saying is that the difference between humans and animals is that the animals would never let the dumbest of the herd to lead them. Well, that's where we wrap up this episode. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about the Eco Green Slush Fund here. It is blowing up. It is maxed out to the brim of corruption here. They shut it down. They try to hide it. They're still putting money into it. Champagne, man, his hands are dirty with this. A lot of Liberals, their hands are dirty with this. Money being shuffled off to all these different eco-green companies, not following protocol and just lacing their own pockets. Conflict of interest. It's all just absolutely disgusting. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thanks for watching the end of the video here. I greatly appreciate all of you. Big thanks to all the channel members, people donating, all that good stuff. We're going to keep fighting for freedom, and I'll see you guys in the next one.